Right, welcome back. So we discussed about the teacher strike. Right now we want to focus on another different issue. Mr. B, you know, you've been in the forefront in fighting corruption. Very recently, Cabinet Secretary in the Ministry of Devolution, Madam Anwaiguru, stood and revealed the corruption that was happening, especially in connection with the National Youth Service. About 800 million having spent in corrupt deals. But after that, there were calls from a political standpoint that she ought to step aside. But other members of parliament came out to defend her, saying this is actually within her ministry and she's the one who stood out to report that case. So definitely she's trying to correct something that ought to be corrected. What is your take on that?
My take that first, I think anyone who has followed the facts is that there's a CS who has really tried. And I wish all the cabinet secretaries have become part of the investigation in their own ministries to find who are the culprits. Of course, if you are one of the people stealing, you never do that. But this is a lady who has shown great determination in making sure that those who are involved are taken to the courts of law. That is, to me, commendable. You see, the challenge we have in Kenya is that we must label corruption either in terms of this is CORD and this is Jubilee. Corruption is not like that. There is a lot of corruption within people of CORD, and the people know even the issuance of IDs, passports during tenure of some of their people, and many others. And we know also corruption in Jubilee in terms of the players. Some have been suspended by the president, and yet they were Jubilee. Corruption does not have labels. Corruption is in us as Kenyans. And even those who may not directly have participated, they have been, touched by it indirectly. For instance, say you are in your church, you are the pastor, and there's a guy there who had stolen, and he has sent something to build your church. You as a pastor has not participated directly.
But indirectly?
Indirectly, you are beneficiary of corruption. And that affects us, I can tell you that. Even probably when people are paying for advertisement to WTV, where you and I are working, maybe some have stolen from those deals. So this is why I say we as Kenyans, we cannot be holier than thou. We must say, all of us as Kenyans, we are touched by this cancer or venom one way or the other, called corruption. And so that corruption in National Youth Service is an indicator that there must be many other corruptions in other sectors.
In other
and that's what we should be focusing to say, let's now check all of them.
Absolutely, because just to help understand the whole issue, because the National Youth Service and the activities that it has already involved actually the whole country in, it has been seen as a very powerful tool in the transformation of the whole country. Number one, for the CS to come out and admit there is corruption shows weakness. But number two, it shows a leader who is aware of the weaknesses of that department and is willing to correct. So it's both ways. There is weakness on one end, but there is also strength. So I don't know how we can balance the two.
Actually, it is strength. It's not weakness. When you admit that something is wrong, it takes more courage and more strength to be in that position. And the normal reaction of many CSEs and many leaders is, no, there isn't corruption.
Corrupt-free.
It's corrupt-free, and probably they have corrupt-free zone, you know. To me, that is really courage. And what we should be saying now is that all CSEs, they should come clean. Yeah? Every CS should come out and say whether there is corruption in their place or not. Because this corruption is the one that keeps projects kind of in a state of inertia. For instance, if you demand that this project, they need to give you money first, and that money is in millions, those people, if they are investors, they will first stop. And there are projects that have been there for 2 years, 1 year, 3 years, they have not taken off. And what is stopping them is corruption. So to me, this is something that has happened which should give us energy and commitment to say, let's now go to all other ministries, departments, institutions, and see, one, whether there are things that are being delayed because corrupt money has not been paid. Because in corruption, people keep quiet. And there are people who come to see me now as Mr. B to say, you know, this big project in this area has not taken off because we were asked to pay 30 million US dollars. This project has stalled. They come and tell me. And soon I'm going to start saying that, calling those people and say, is it true that there is a project which has stalled of this nature? That's what we are going to do. So corruption is disabling the whole nation that has so much promise. And instead of starting argument about CS, like the one, you know, for national youth, and saying this and that, because we are looking at party affiliation. That is the way we lose the sight of wherever other places corruption is. So that we need to put it aside and say, we know about it.
Now let's look at other areas.
Let's look at this other area.
Where is corruption? Let's uproot it.
In the Ministry of Water, what is there?
What is happening?
In the Ministry of Defense, in the other ministry. We need to put spotlight
On
on
all the ministries.
all of them. We are lucky that that was caught.
Yeah.
How many are taking place now in Kenya?
Exactly, and you know, a great encouragement here, it's actually a sign of strength for you to admit there is a weakness. And you know, as they say, you are as sick as your secret. So the moment you come out, then solutions are provided. Now, as we wrap it up, Mr. B, the reality is, at the moment, the issue of refugees has come up. In regards to Syria, I mean, we saw a young country like South Sudan, refugees. Why? Because the apparatus of, you know, authority, of power in those countries failed in one way or another. They started tormenting their own people. They forgot about the beauty of the land. And this is a situation that is not really very far from any country, because even Kenya, if we do not take care, we might just end up being refugees to other countries. What is the way forward in dealing with refugees, the situation of refugees, and also a reminder to Kenya that we ought to keep ourselves as one united nation?
Yes. Whenever one sees those children suffering, either because of dehydration, whenever you see the mothers having such a high stress because they don't know what to do with these children, when you see the breadwinner has been killed, and sometimes even those children, you realize that in all cases, the victims become majority, the mothers and the children in these conflicts. The people who are never part of the conflict is the mothers and children. Many, they don't know even how the fight erupted, yet they suffer. So that is first point we must look at. Take like case of Syria. You had Assad, who was perceived by the West that he is pro-Russia. And so there is undercurrent initiatives to kick him out because he's a dictator. And in that, which starts like the tug of war between West and Russia, they start to support their side with the bullets, with the missiles, whatever they need. And the other side to support the rebels, they call rebels. But in between, the whole society has been displaced. If you see that country is only rubble, stones, broken pipes, yeah? Human beings are almost unable to live in Syria. And those people must move somewhere for their safety. And they found West is where life was good. So now the West feel threatened that all this influx is threatening their livelihood, their jobs, because refugees will do any job for so little. So there is a threat for them, for comfort they have had. But they are part of causing that problem. If you look at Libya, where North Africa, again, through Libya, all those boats are going full of people with a big risk for children and mothers. It was a regime that was working reasonably okay. But they decided, because Gaddafi, they suspected was involved in Lockerbie bombing. After they asked him to pay, he paid a number of billions to the families. But they decided, still we will follow you until you are dead. And that became the war now for the whole country. The war where so many people have suffered, the children and mothers and everybody. And now they are trying to look for greener pastures where they can go. And there is the West. So what I see now is that West is facing consequences of those actions they were involved.
It's very clear, you know, our destinies are intertwined. And so giving to other countries is actually like giving to ourselves.
Yeah.
Just like South Sudan, just like Somalia. Yeah. When we decided to go and fight Al-Shabaab, we were actually also doing it for ourselves. Because if Somalia goes down, the people of Somalia will come into the country, and we'll have to deal with that. Yeah. Mr. B, as we wind up, bring us to the understanding of the beauty of celebrating the good things that we have in the country. Because I want to believe somebody from, let's say, Syria, there was a time they would love the environment. Right now, they, as you're saying, they're looking for anything, for survival. In Kenya, we have the beauty of the land, the beauty of our cultures. But for some reason, we allow all these other things to come in and spoil the understanding of the beauty we have. What is your message so that we realize this is our one opportunity to keep this country together?
We need to, Johnson, to say that we need a leadership that is unique, a leadership that cares, and a leadership that will have a vision like this, that we want to have a beautiful green Kenya.
A beautiful green Kenya.
Where the individuals that are there are caring. We see a person of Kalenjin or Luo land or Kikuyu land stretching a helping hand to each other. People who come together to celebrate their diversity together in song and dance. We need to see a leadership that looks for solutions once they have understood the problem. It is not that it's blaming, and lamenting, oh, this has happened. And if the leadership we have is like that, we should move our focus to another generation of leadership. And this is why we in WTV strongly believe in programs like the one for universities, telling them you are the most learned guys in Kenya. Let's learn to define problems. Let's learn to advance solutions. And then finally, we have leaders who are unique and who are going to kind of make all these leaders irrelevant. If I were to make the decision, there are many leaders that are irrelevant. They are not for today. And because we believed that they are a gift to mankind, we still follow them. We must stop following them. That's what my message is.
Wow. Friday with Mr. B. Every Friday you get to look at Kenya from a very greater perspective, where you and I have a role to play in developing the country. And every single day when we look at the topical issues, those issues are constantly beckoning to us, saying, participate, participate. Don't just be a passive listener, reader, a watcher of news, participate in making Kenya a different place. So thank you so much. Always here on WTV, Friday with Mr. B. See you next time.